All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's about 10 after 4 on Tuesday, the 22nd of August, back over at the garage, obviously, and still looking at a body in one spot and a frame in the other spot. So my intention tonight is to get the frame measured up and get it welded back together. I have all the dimensions out of the workshop manual, so I'm going to double check and triple check and all that kind of stuff and get that welded up so that I can get a good base for when I do the passenger side floor, and potentially when I decide to go back in and revisit the driver's side door fitment. I also brought the center, radio support tower. I have like 3 of them, so I pulled this one out of the garage. I'll put that in there as it sits right now, just to kind of see what I'm looking at and see if I can tell whether or not it's off. But I have an electronic version of the workshop manual, which is a little bit different than the one that I have. So in here, all the measurements are on a single page. On the one that I have, that's actually, you know, physical, original, they're on 2 pages. So I'm just going to double check the numbers real quick to make sure they're not different. I assume that they're not, but that'll be on the agenda for tonight if I can get it, so that I can manhandle that body onto the frame and check the fit up. Once I get it welded, great. If not, I'll have to get my son back over here and give me a hand and lift stuff over. So it may be a relatively short night if these measurements come in. I was pretty frustrated on Sunday that they weren't coming in for me. So I don't know if I was just not doing it right or what, but take some, you know, measure twice, cut once thing tonight, and hopefully get there. So we'll keep you in the loop. All right, it's 5:11. I'm pretty sure I've got the frame straightened up, or within about a 1/16 of an inch or so. A little bit of pain in the rear, but so I had obviously that wood support that went across there. That's 29 inches center to center, and then this guy back here, like 14 something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but that's center to center. And then I put a bolt in that outrigger and a bolt in that outrigger, and then measured from that bolt across up to that guy up there, and from this guy across to that guy up there, and that was where about my 1/16 of an inch difference was. If you look down here on that cross piece that I had cut apart, you can see that that's pretty close to being exactly aligned. This is the modification that the previous owner did. You can see that that's pretty close to being aligned too. I might knock the right side back just a tad. That'll actually square it up a little bit. The interesting part was that the measurements between Dorothy's frame over there and this guy are quite a bit different. Specifically, these holes here for both the shock supports and the body mounts. I mean, I can't show you, obviously, or unfortunately, because I got my hands full kind of with the camera, but it's almost like a ½ an inch, which initially it made me want to spread the back of this frame out a little bit, but then that just wasn't making sense. So the 2 holes here, these guys here, about 40 centimeters apart, and the on the black frame, or on Dorothy's frame, about 40 centimeters apart, and then it kind of breaks down from there. And you know, that much difference between that short of a frame piece is just, you've got to be manufacturing differences. So I'm going to knock the right side of this back just a bit, and I think I'm good to weld it up, and then we'll kind of go from there. So I'm going to weld up there at the very front to get that kind of out of the way. Obviously, I want to put the body on those. I need to make the body here, and I need to make the body here. So I'm going to put a piece here. I'm probably going to put a piece to the front, probably put a piece here, because I don't think it's going to interfere with the tub at all, as long as I keep it short and just kind of put it on the insides of these. And then I think I'm going to go probably across this guy here. That's a nice, relatively flat. So obviously I got to clean this all up and get to some welding, and get some heavy duty welding to do, which is good because I won't have to worry about blow through here. And then if I can manhandle the frame, or manhandle the body onto the frame, we might do that, but we'll see. I don't want to bend anything or hurt myself, so there you go. I'll check back later. So real quick before I forget, I had mentioned that the back of the frame wasn't lining up distance-wise, and that it was quite a bit skinnier in the back, I guess. But what I hadn't taken into account was the fact that the frame was not sitting level on the ground, which, duh. So what was happening is the frame was kind of falling in on itself a little bit. So even with the supports, obviously I'm using wood in the front dork, and the metal that I've got in the back here, that metal strip is not real strong. So what I've done is I got a nice stout piece of angle iron there, 1/4 inch or whatever it is. What is it? 1/8 of an inch, excuse me. 1/4 inch, yeah, that'd be a little much. 1/8 of an inch. I got that vice grip down, and I'm going to tack the heck out of it on either end there. And essentially I've got the frame kind of rolled, I guess you could say, so that the distance between the center line of the two, I guess I should not make us sick here, the center line of the two shock mount bolts are 29.5 inches long, or excuse me, width apart, which is exactly what the workshop manual says for center of the any wiggle room. So I'll get that soldered, get that welded down. You can see that I got a gap here, which I assume, and I guess I kind of hope, will close up as I bring this into the proper distance up here. So, but I tried to match this as much as I could. I don't think I'm really going to get much better than that. And anyway, it's not. I've got hopefully enough wiggle room on the mounts for the body that it should work. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that my frame was twisting in on itself across the center line, and I've widened it out now. I've got that tacked down, so I'm going to get to town welding that up, and we'll go from there. All right, it's 6:43, and I've got the frame welded up. So all my measurements line up, all my distances between the bolt holes. So if it's twisted, then so be it. I got a pretty good gap in between there. I think all I used, if I remember right, was a Sawzall. So that gap in between that transmission piece there is a little wider than I would like. But the center post up there lines up really nice on those holes. These two holes here are about 28 3/4, no more than that, 28 and 13/16 apart. 29 is nominal. I measured the holes over there, and that's what they came out to, is 28 and 13/16, so I'm happy with that. 29.5 in the back, so I think we're good. So the welds are not great, but they should be strong enough front, back, and I've got these couple straps in the center here just to kind of keep everything honest. I don't think it'll flex on me. Probably actually wouldn't be a bad idea to flip the thing over and put a couple on the bottom, just so it doesn't try to bend open, you know what I mean? I don't think it will, but I might flip it over here and add a couple straps. But for now, I'm happy, and see if I can manhandle this body a little bit. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. It's a little early, but if I really can't do anything else, then so be it. So I'll check back in later. 722 got an update. Believe it or not, it sort of fits. I can't quite comprehend that it's fitting, but it is. So I guess the frame is pretty square. So I got, that was the front bracket that I put on. Now that is a little crooked. So probably what could happen is that could go back. So it could flex. Let me get my hand. It could probably go back towards the bracket, go towards the firewall a little bit. And if you look, I mean, maybe, you know, there's not. Oops, I got a light. Let me get a light. Still a rookie. If you can see that one there, that's essentially right on top of the engine or the floor, and that one's not as close. So maybe it could have gone back a little bit, but you can't really see the crookedness in the bolt maybe, but it's there a little bit. But that bolt hole is right there. You can see that guy. That bolt hole is right there. You can see that guy, and those guys back there are already in. So yeah, so it fits. So I'm not too concerned about that over there. Obviously it's on the floor. I'm gonna have to fix that just on two dollies with the frames resting directly onto the floor with the dollies. So when I get my son over here, I'll have him help me get the thing up in the air a little bit more. But now that I know that the frame is under it, it won't be crooked. I'll have to cut the sawhorses here to the same length as my other guys that are sitting in the corner over there. But yeah, so not too bad. So I'm going to try and put that centerpiece in now. The radio, you can see there that the neither one of the, man, I've just got to show you guys a little bit easier. That one doesn't line up worth much at all. That guy is pretty close, and even that doesn't line up very well. So it may have been a little outside of that measurement. I'm not quite sure. I mean, looking at that little gap I had in the transmission tunnel thing, I guess that makes sense that might be a little split. So I'm going to try not to beat the heck out of that. Obviously I don't care about the original floor because that's getting cut out, but I kind of care about my new floor, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it in there, but I want to see how it fits up, obviously, with the dashboard here, and see how much movement I get. So that's going to be the test. And if it seems like it's really fitting pretty tricky on the especially on the driver's side there, then I know that I'm off quite a ways. And if not, well, I got the frame under it anyway, and that's a good thing. I can now look at the rotisserie that I was going to do. I kick myself in hindsight for not having done this. This was not that difficult to do, Fisher. I don't know why you didn't do it, but too much of a hurry. So there you go. So I'm going to get that center post in, and that's probably going to be about it for the evening. I'll probably do an update real quick before that happens, but there you go. Cheers. All right, it's 7:43. Though I'm sure there's more I could do. I've essentially done everything that I really couldn't do tonight. I did get the center support in, and it actually went in pretty well. I had to lift up a little bit on the dash to get this driver's side hole in, or bolt in. Let me see here. Yeah, see, I can't even really push it out without lifting up. But still, I mean, not that much. So I did get it set down in there, but you can see that it's not, I think you can see that it's not really lining up that well. But I did get that side bolted in, or at least on one of them. So yeah, you know, in hindsight, this is what I should have done. The bolt holes are still lining up for the frame. I got to remember where the spacers go. But that's about it. So next time I get over here, I'll try to get this up, change the sawhorses around and get them ready to kind of support the frame and all like that, and get my son over here to help me lift the body and the frame up onto the sawhorses, and we'll go from there. Not quite ready to investigate doing a rotisserie yet, I don't think. The trunk floor is not attached, essentially. In the back, it's just barely holding on. In the front, the sides, you can see that side's gone. That side's pretty much gone, and this hole, that's all gone right in there. So that's why I couldn't use the rotisserie the first time without putting the frame down. But yeah, so not too bad. I still don't know what I'm going to do over there with the door. Not convinced. It's such a pain in the rear. I really don't know which way to go with it. So I may just come over here and do the passenger side and see how it goes. I'm going to put some more bracing in there. Like on the other side, I got that angle iron there. I'll put that in over here so that I don't, because this is flexible. That was probably the mistake. But then I'm going to weld it probably down to the frame, do like a cross piece to kind of go like, you know, cross like that, to get it to support that way. And then even coming back from the heel board, maybe up into here, like from that lip on the heel board, and go up just so it keeps it leveled up, something like that. We'll see how it goes. But that's next. So there you go. So, you know, no progress really, but at least it's not quite as off as I thought it was going to be, or frayed in the front here, so I don't really have to worry about any rework there. I think that's going to be fine. If worse comes to worse, I can just drill that hole out and make that a little bit bigger before I go undoing that entire bracket. and the firewall is going to be fine. So that's all I got for tonight. We'll see the next time, hopefully sometime this weekend. Cheers.